I would like to introduce my guests, Joe and Margie Richey of Thousand Oaks, California. Joe and Margie have been married for 54 years. That is longer than I've been alive. Joe and Margie, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. You know, I'm so fascinated just by the concept of a partnership for 54 years. I mean, it really is a lifetime. I mean, it's amazing. How did you both first meet?
We met in high school, and she was the straight A student, and I was the less than straight A student, and she was the prettiest girl in the whole school. We went to a very small school, graduating class of 49.
We did fine until we graduated, and then after a couple years,
I started to wander.
you wandered. You went to California, and we broke up.
Wanderlust, I had to travel. As fate would have it, a friend of mine who was my roommate in California went back because we were both in the same high school in Pittsburgh, and he ran into her at a party. And the reason it worked so well at the party was she didn't drink, so she was the bartender. So his name was Lynn Fox. He came up and she turned around and they both said, "What are you doing here?" And she said, "Well, have Joe call me." And I did, and we got together at a place called the Pioneer Inn in Pittsburgh for dinner. And 3 days later, we were married.
3 days?
Maybe 4, I can't remember
Wow.
exactly.
Upset my family a little bit.
Yeah, she was
Wow.
engaged. She was engaged to marry a ophthalmologist. A very good-looking
He
ophthalmologist,
was
I
nice.
might
He was
add.
very unhappy with me after that.
I wonder why. I can't figure out. I came
But
and
I'm
stole
glad
his
we
little
did it.
girl.
So what do you think causes people who were in love, infatuated at one point, get married, to fall apart?
I don't think they really knew all the background of each other. You really have to know what the other person's family's like and what to accept from them. And I think a lot of times that does create a problem. I've heard it from girls saying that their husband's parents did this and this and this, and they really didn't like it. So that was,
It'd be hard to fathom.
yeah, we were very lucky. His parents were wonderful to us. And my mom and dad were back east, so they didn't have to worry about doing anything for us.
You know, it's a compatibility situation. Again, we enjoyed similar things. She was a professional as a nurse, and I was a technician at the time we moved here. But we still found commonalities and very much enjoyed being together. That may be the crux of it all, because if you start to enjoy or not enjoy each other's company, and there were times when she wouldn't talk to me for 2 weeks. That's the German in her. Maybe 3 weeks.
Oh, that's
And
not true.
she can be stubborn. But you stick to it. We never, ever used the word divorce. We never, ever raised a hand to each other, ever. Because once that starts, it won't stop. It'll only get worse. And so my advice to young folks are, if there's any physical problems in the companionship stage, you better very seriously think about what you're getting into. It's just so critical that you can see each other as a good partner, somebody I enjoy being with, somebody I enjoy going to dinner with, just a good conversation. And to this day, we'll go to a restaurant and I'll look at a couple maybe our age and they don't even talk to each other. And that is a real problem.
What is your advice to couples that are looking to get married now?
So you have to make sure you really love that person and that you know what you should know about him and that his family is going to accept you. Because if you don't have a family on that side that doesn't want you around, it's really going to make your life miserable together. And I think if you really love someone, you've got to look back and make sure that everything is going the way you want it to go.
Get to know each other as best you can, even though both of you have your guard up at this point in your life. Seek each other's weaknesses and how you can live with those weaknesses. She had a lot more problems with mine than I had with hers, because she was pretty much the straight A Miss Perfect, and I was the character that was always trying to get into trouble. Not deep trouble, but trouble. That's pretty much the essence of it. Knowing that after a few years, you'll still love that person, but you are going to become different people. And you have to very, very diligently work at not growing apart. Where I have several friends, many friends, who literally that's what they said. We just grew apart. He went his way, I went my way. We didn't think we had anything really left. We don't hate each other. It's just not our thing. And we were very fortunate because we could always find that middle ground, enjoy a vacation together, enjoy going to the beach together, enjoy a picnic. In the very beginning, we didn't have an awful lot of money. We still don't have an awful lot, but we are very comfortable. But that's because she worked all of her life. And a lot of my friends would say, did it bother you your wife makes all that money? No, not in the least. I love it all the way to the bank.
Do you think marriage is 50-50?
Well, that's ideally, yes. Realistically, it'll never be because there'll be days when you're going to have to give 90%. And there'll be days when you'll want 100%.
We can each have 100%.
Well, you think you can, and you'll strive for that, but 50-50 is a nice way to look at it. And any partnership, business or otherwise, will only survive if it's 50-50. I didn't realize how much work she was doing. She was a registered nurse, working 8 to 10 hours a day. She had her own department. In that case, she was working 11 or 12 hours a day to come home, make dinner, clean the house, and her old lazy husband watched it all happen. And I finally started pitching in some, and it helped. That she did get upset about. I'm getting tired of doing all the work in this house. And she had every reason to say that. So now she's been injured. She's been incapacitated for a couple of years. And she says, oh, I feel so guilty about you having to make dinner. When I said 54 years you made dinner, now it's my turn to make some dinners. They're not as good as yours.
Yeah,
The house isn't as clean as it was, but we're making it. So
What do you think has changed over 54 years?
just about everything. I had hair. It was red. Hers was brown,
And I have
almost black.
Nice hair.
And the nice part about the love factor is as you change, you adapt. And you kind of want to say roll with it, but you just adjust to each other's desires. If it were up to me, I'd live in Montana on a fly fishing stream and I'd be there all day. And she has a zero interest in fly fishing or being near a stream all day. So I don't go fly fishing every day, needless to say, or not even near as much as I'd like. But you have to adjust to those things. Everything will change. Your personalities to some degree, you adjust because you will change a lot.
One of the things I wanted to ask you is, what do you think people would be shocked to know after 54 years of marriage?
Jeez.
That we're still together.
If you ask our high school friends and college friends, they'd probably say, as a matter of fact, people have said to me, how long have you been married now? And it hypothetically was 40 years. To the same woman? Yeah.
I've had friends and people that I know of, and it seems like there's a lot of stories about infidelity. How have you navigated those waters?
Both of us had opportunities. There were doctors that used to chase this little lady around when she was 27 years old. And pretty serious chase. When it would happen to me, if I would meet somebody and there could be, you start with a nice conversation at work and it becomes flirting. I think what kept me out of that kind of trouble, literally, was how would I feel if she did that to me? And if you really think seriously about that and try to feel what you would feel if that happened to you, it's a pretty strong motivator to not do what nature would say you ought to try.
I just think we have a good relationship.
We must for 54 years.
Yeah. I mean, he does help me. He's taking care of me now. And as I say, it's awful that I make him do so many things now that he
make
never
me
had to
do
do
anything.
before. But he does them, and he always checks things out. So I'm very, very happy about that.
But you're stuck with me.
Yeah. I can't, he won't let me drive my car.
No, I won't.
can't drive the
Not
car.
right now, you won't.
So how
Yeah.
has romance changed over the years? I mean, what was romance before and what is it
It's
today?
the same now, isn't it? Don't you think?
No, not even a little bit. When we were first married, this is going to sound crude, but I couldn't wait to get home. Typical 22-year-old male, boy, oh boy, this is wonderful. And it still is wonderful. It's just a different wonderful. I would point out that that becomes a lot less important the older you get, but it's still important. The feeling of togetherness, the feeling of passion isn't as strong, but it's still there, especially for what your perspective of this discussion is. Young folks in love can't wait to get together, can't wait to spend their lives together, have to understand things are going to change. Sometimes not for the better, sometimes a lot better. That for better or for worse is critical. I mean, you're going to run into some for worse. But in our case, the better outweighed the worse significantly. And I think that's critical.
Is there anything in closing that you would like to share with people that might be watching this video and thinking to themselves, is marriage for them, or how do they make their marriage last? What would you want to tell them?
Make sure when you're getting married that you truly love that person and you know about him, and that you aren't going to scream and yell about his family.
I think that it's critical that you know each other in depth, as well as you can get to know someone, because human nature is human nature. You can hide things you want to hide, and you can hide them very well, but sooner or later, you come out. And so it's critical. You know each other as best you can know, enjoy each other's company. If you don't, if there's even a vaguest feeling that this may not work, it probably won't. Appreciate each other's best parts and overlook the parts that aren't quite what you'd like. And I've talked to so many, especially young ladies, I'll mold him the way I want him. It does not work. It never will. So if you don't fit in the beginning, it ain't going to work in the end.
Well, I want to thank you both. Thank you for coming to visit me.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
coming to
you.
visit, and thanks for sharing your story. I really think a lot of people are going to really enjoy hearing it, and thank you so much for sharing.
I hope it would help someone
Thank you.
make good decisions.